You ever have your whole life flipped upside down before breakfast, just because some folks decided your water, yeah, your actual water, doesn't belong to you anymore? Oh, let me tell you, nothing like waking up to find out you've apparently been hoarding your own damn spring. Yeah, that happened. But they never saw the man who walked into that meeting behind me. My godfather, the county commissioner. But hey, let me back up a sec. Cause this story? It's got more land, more lies, and a whole mess of justice than you'd believe. See, every morning, first light would just sort of slide across Pinehurst Valley, like gold ribbon getting laid on frostbitten grass. There's this moment, right before the day wakes up, when the whole world feels honest. For a guy like me, who spent a year trying to outrun the memory of a failed dam inspection, a mistake that cost me my career and hell, cost a friend his life. Well, this valley was the only patch of earth where the noise in my head would just settle down enough to breathe. Or it used to be. I'd barely made it onto my porch, boots still half-laced, when the world decided to go sideways. Crunch of tires on gravel, camera gear getting hoisted up, that metallic whine splitting the morning like a bad omen. I round the cabin, and there it is, a whole parade. 5 SUVs, 3 news vans, people stomping around my pasture like they own the place, and up front, like she's leading some twisted homecoming court, is Lydia Carver. You could spot Lydia from orbit, I swear. Platinum blonde bob, jacket a shade too green, heels stabbing holes in ground that's been ranchland since before Montana was a state. She's the sort of HOA president who wields that title like a sheriff's badge. Divine appointment, zero restraint, all drama. But even for Lydia, this was a show. Cameras swung my way the second she pointed. There he is, she hollered, voice slicing through the air. The man draining our valley dry. I freeze mid-step. I mean, what on earth is she talking about? Lydia tromps right through the spring creek, heels vanishing in the mud, waving toward my spring, mind you, bubbling and clear at the foot of an old limestone shelf. That water's been flowing longer than HOA paperwork has even existed. The sunrise caught the mist behind her, making her look more ghost than neighbor. This is blatant water hoarding, she declared, spinning for the cameras like some eco-justice Joan of Arc. I just about bit through my tongue. The spring isn't some reservoir, it's a living thing. I've spent months restoring the banks, mending what the last owner let rot. Ma'am, step off the property, I told her, voice steady, but every word tasted like iron. Deputy Hollis, who's standing behind her like he's guarding the queen, raises a hand. Let's keep things civil, Mr. Merrick. Oh, civil, sure, while Lydia's out here staging a hostage crisis with my water. She plants herself right at the edge of the spring, pant legs soaking up Cold Creek. Turns to the neighbors, folks I've nodded at for months, who are now standing in clumps, whispering. This man is robbing the community of its natural water supply. Lydia shouts, look at the flow rate. Look at the erosion. I can barely get a word in. It's a spring, I say. A natural one, which I own. She scoffs, loud and theatrical. Water rights don't work that way, Mr. Merrick. Your so-called ownership has caused sediment drift all the way down Willow Bend. And she's got the crowd eating it up. Reporters scribbling like she's delivering gospel. My jaw's tight. I step forward, but not too close. Lydia, you need to leave. Now. She just smiles, all teeth. Afraid of the truth getting out. Afraid? Not hardly. Humiliated? Absolutely. Suddenly, every neighbor I've ever shared a nod with is looking at me like I'm a criminal. It's a hell of a thing, watching someone seize the narrative before you've even said your piece. The wind shifts, carrying that clean limestone scent, and for a heartbeat, the cameras drift my way. You can practically hear the question they're all asking themselves. Why would an HOA accuse a man of stealing water from his own land? And under that, what exactly is Lydia after here? Whatever the answer was, I had a sinking feeling this was just the first drop before the flood. Next morning, the valley wore that uneasy hush that creeps in before a storm. Gray clouds pressed low, the kind that make the world feel smaller. I walked out, coffee mug in hand, trying to quiet the churn in my chest. But there, flapping on my gate, was a bright orange envelope. HOA violation notice. But this color only meant one thing. Urgent enforcement. I tore it open. First thing I saw, $3,200. Violation, unlicensed retention dam. Unlicensed. The paper was a fever dream of fabricated claims, unauthorized water diversion, hazard creation, altering flow rates. They even cited municipal runoff law. Out here, on unincorporated land, the absurdity would have been funny if it didn't settle like a stone in my gut. I folded the notice, stuck it in my jacket, and tried to salvage what was left of my morning. Didn't last. White pickup comes rumbling down the drive. Two guys in khaki, clipboards, measuring rods. "We're here for the environmental risk assessment," the taller one says. I ask for credentials. The badges look like they were printed off in a rush, lamination bubbling at the edges. "Did Lydia send you?" I ask. They don't answer, just try to edge toward the spring. I block them. "You're not setting foot on my land without real ID." Shorter one stammers, "Sir, obstruction is a crime. So is impersonating an inspector." I cut in. "Sheriff Alvarez is 20 minutes away. Want to see which charge he confirms first?" They fold fast, hightail it back to their truck, gravel spitting behind them. The storm was building, all right. Word spread faster than wildfire. By noon, everyone in the valley knew about my supposed dam. That's when Jill Ramsey showed up. Jill's not the type to scare easy. She stood up to Lydia before. "Evan, can we talk?" she asks, voice low. She tells me Lydia's been meeting with outside investors, trying to expand the HOA boundary, claiming my spring is strategically vital. Jill saw the suits, city folks, fancy SUVs, big talk about water rights. While she's talking, I spot something near the shed. A small, gray device blinking in the dirt. Soil moisture sensor. Not mine. Boot prints all around. Jill's eyes go wide. "Evan, that's not good. Someone snuck onto my land, close enough to plant monitoring gear." Underneath, a tiny label, SB Phase 1. Phase 1 of what? "They're not measuring for the valley," I mutter. "They're measuring for themselves." Jill nods, face pale. This isn't just HOA drama anymore. The next few days, the valley feels different. Even the cattle shift nervously. When I get back from the hardware store, I find another sheet of paper pinned to my porch. A map of my property, but this version's not from the county. My spring, circled 3 times in blue ink. Potential community access point. Unclaimed headwaters. Investment appeal. Someone's been drawing up big plans, using my land as the centerpiece. Then I spot survey markers, orange stakes with green ribbons, pushed inside my property line, boot prints I don't recognize. Not a mistake. Someone wants to redraw the map, on paper and on the ground. Jill confirms the worst. Lydia's been showing investors around, pointing at my land, talking up spa resorts and wellness retreats. Everything built around, you guessed it, my spring. The valley starts closing in, the pressure building from every direction. Trucks keep rolling by slow, binoculars pointed my way. That night, I can't sleep. I sit at the kitchen table, notebook open, headlamp on, documenting everything. Around 2 a.m., I hear boots crunching outside. 3 figures at the spring, not hiding, not rushing. Expensive equipment, water flow meter, LiDAR scanner. These aren't amateurs. They're building a case. I kill the lights, watch from the shadows. They take samples, scan the watershed, whisper to each other, then disappear, but not before I get motion camera footage, grainy, but clear enough. Later, I find a torn binder with a state seal, except it's all wrong. Forged, just like the inspectors, just like the violation. Lydia's building an illusion, one forged document at a time. By Friday, it's a full court press. I'm loading clips onto a hard drive when a county vehicle pulls up. Woman in a stiff gray jacket, county emblem on the door. "I'm here to deliver a temporary stop-use order on your spring-fed irrigation systems," she says. I tear open the envelope. It's got official stamps, but the formatting's wrong, the signature's missing. "This isn't county-issued," I say. She doesn't even argue, just hurries back to her car. Around noon, black SUVs crawl up the ridge. Real investors this time, city money, pointing at my land, dreaming up spas and trails and cabins. I hide behind the barn, fists balled. Sheriff Tom Alvarez shows up. "I didn't issue that stop order," he tells me. But Lydia's been filing complaints all week, enough to jam up the county and slow everything down. And the investors? They need your spring for their resort. He can't take sides, but he warns me. Don't push too hard. Gather your facts. Stay smart. That night, I finally make the call I'd been avoiding. "Uncle Halden," I say. It's happening again. He doesn't hesitate. I'm on my way. Next morning, Halden Brooks rolls down my drive in a battered old pickup, more rust than paint. He's tall, broad, gray-haired, the kind of man whose presence settles a room. We spread all the evidence across the table: photos, forged notices, maps, the video footage. He watches the trespassers on camera, jaw tight. Idiots, he mutters. They're waving felonies around like church programs. Halden tells me Lydia's not smart enough to mastermind this alone. Someone's feeding her documents, someone who knows just enough law to fake it. Not enough to do it right. Your spring's significant, Evan. Geologically, politically. Folks see that kind of resource and get hungry. He lays out the plan. Collect everything, stay silent. Let her get louder. Let her hang herself with her own rope. And sure enough, by Saturday, Lydia's called an emergency community meeting. Flyers everywhere. Water crisis, threat to community aquifers, hazardous modification, all of it smoke and mirrors. I roll up to the community hall, rain pattering on the roof, every spot filled, news vans out front. Inside, Lydia stands at the podium, all smiles, unveiling my stolen map. Now doctored with the HOA logo and my spring labeled as Community Water Resource. Slide after slide, she builds her case, charts, graphs, doctored photos. Then, for the grand finale, she calls for a vote to reclaim the spring. The applause is deafening. I wait for the noise to die, then step out of the shadows. Before we discuss conservation plans, shouldn't we talk about the fact that your water data was collected illegally? At 2:13 in the morning, when your board members trespassed on my land. The room goes dead silent. Lydia's face drains of color. I don't yell. I just lay out the truth. Time-stamped footage, forged permits, everything. Then a new presence steps forward, a tall man in a gray coat, white hair, quiet authority. Halden Brooks. I've been listening, he says, and as county commissioner, I have questions of my own. He turns to Lydia, voice low. How did you obtain the water flow data? The same data flagged for fraud at my office last week? Lydia stammers, tries to talk, but Halden shuts her down. Then, from the back, for people stand, plain clothes, badges clipped to their belts. Federal investigators. Agent Riley steps forward. Miss Carver, we need you to remain exactly where you are. Lydia collapses, caught in every lie. Board members shrink away, suddenly fascinated by the floor. I hand over my flash drive. 3 nights of video. Trespassing. Forgery. Unauthorized data collection. It's enough. Agent Riley reads the charges. Grant fraud, trespassing, forgery, conspiracy to defraud. Lydia protests, but it's over. Sheriff Alvarez steps up, tired but resolute. Lydia Carver, you are under arrest. As they lead her away, she glances back, pleading, but the door shuts before she can finish. Just like that, her empire collapses. When the crowd finally spills out into the night, the air is lighter. Halden claps me on the shoulder. You did good. You let the truth do the work. I finally breathe again. A week later, the county formally protects my spring, permanent, untouchable. The HOA dissolves itself, the valley free of tyrants for the first time in years. The water, older than all of us, keeps flowing, steady, honest, a promise written into the land. So, here's my question. What do you think justice really means, out here where the rules bend for those with enough power and money? Ever had to fight for what's right, even when the crowd's against you? Drop your story in the comments, 'cause I know I'm not the only one. And if you want more tales where truth actually wins, go on and hit subscribe. There's plenty more where this came from.